Hello everyone, welcome back to the AJ Speed Shop YouTube channel. And on today's exciting episode, we're back on the Franken tank. And I'm talking about the 1987 Buick Grand National OEM gas tank that I had bought used and installed in the car, and it lasted for about 6 months before it started leaking. Upon inspecting the tank, I found out that it was full of JB Welding Bondo, had rust all through the strap area. So I want to fix this tank and get it back in the car. I have a late model Spectra tank in the car right now, which I despise greatly. Just finished up 1,100 mile road trip, and dealing with this tank is a total pain in the butt. The thing will not take fuel. You have to fill it up at about a quarter of a speed that you would normally fill up a regular gas tank, and it spits fuel back out on you. It doesn't want to fill up correctly. It takes forever to get it completely full, aside from the aforementioned fuel slush problems at wide open throttle. So today's mission, we're going to start hacking up on the original OEM tank. I'm going to cut the rusted section out and start making a patch panel and have it welded in. So let's get started. All right, got it mostly cut. Got one more corner to nip out of it, and it should, bad lighting, it should fall right out or fall right into the tank, never to be seen again. All right guys, got her opened up here and see the baffling kind of just sits in the tank. It's not really attached to the bottom. Not sure how much you guys will be able to see inside of the tank. Try to get you some better video with my boroscope camera. Super hot. You can see where it started to rust through from the outside in. So the bulk of the rust was on the outside where water was trapped underneath the strap and the insulation for the strap. And so it just ate out a couple of pinholes in it. And somebody felt the need to JB weld it and Bondo it and then spray it with bed liner. The right side is pretty solid, so I think this side's going to be okay. I'm not going to need to do anything with that. Just going to sand it down and paint it real well. Once I get it welded, I'm going to get this patch panel cut, have it welded in the tank, and try to support that inner baffle structure a little better and get this thing cleaned back up, painted, and back in the car. Okay guys, I'm working on dressing up this cut that I made on the tank, but one thing I did discover is this inner baffle, this wall that helps keep the fuel close to the pump, is loose in here. And I noticed it pretty early on when I put this tank in the car, and looking down in here, it looks like there's a slot right there that this wall is supposed to be in. So I don't know if it got popped out during shipping or something along those lines or what, but I'm gonna go ahead and knock it back into place, maybe tack weld it there once I get it back in place. I'm gonna continue to work on getting these cuts all dressed up and getting all the shavings out of it. Okay, going back in, I turned the tank around. You should be able to see the baffling and the plastic bucket all connected together. You can see that metal wall that runs through. You can see the base of the filler neck. And then this is the bucket. You can see how that bucket goes the full length of the tank, top to bottom. Let me turn this camera around right here. Give you one more shot. Okay, I'm gonna try a different angle this time. Hopefully this will be a little more visual. You can see how the top of the bucket just makes a contact up there with the tank. It doesn't actually connect, it just bumps against it. And then it latches to the inner wall, and then the inner wall is just pressed into the tank with some grooves. So not much really holds this bucket in place. But you see it goes all the way to the floor and then all the way to the top. behind the bucket, you just see the metal baffling that keeps the fuel to the front side of the tank. Why this tank fills up so much better than an aftermarket tank, I'm not sure, but it damn sure does. Okay guys, I fetched me some 16 gauge steel. I'm gonna start cutting this up and starting to fit it into that hole in the tank. Once I get this thing fitted up nice and tight, I'm gonna take it to a friend of mine who's gonna TIG weld it for me. See how this goes. Okay guys, after messing with this thing for a good portion of the day, I got this patch panel piece fabbed up. I ended up using some 16 gauge. Got it pretty tight fitting in there. My buddy is gonna weld it. He's a fab guy, so he'll be able to probably true it up and get it a little tighter. Hopefully he'll be able to fill in what little gaps I have in here. It's pretty tough shape. You'd think a rectangular piece of metal would be pretty easy to fit, but this tank's kind of got an odd shape to it, and then I didn't cut the hole out real straight on it either, so that didn't help. But there it is. It's mostly there. I'm gonna go drop it off tomorrow and leave it with him, let him do some final fitment and weld it up, and we'll see how it comes out. I'll update you in the next section. Okay guys, I got the Franken tank back from my buddy John, who welded my patch panel in for me. Did an outstanding job TIG welding all this back up. Smooth as can be. My patch actually fit pretty good from what he said. He just had to fill in a couple little spots, and it was all good. Also on the right side, where I wasn't going to make any repairs because it seemed like everything was just a little bit of surface rust and a little etching, there was a couple of small pits right here, and not anything that was even close to leaking, but my buddy went ahead and put some bronze filler in those pits right there just to make sure we don't have any issues down the road. It's completely sealed up now. All this other stuff, you can't even catch a fingernail on it. It's literally just etching in the surface. So everything should be good with this part now. So I'm gonna get ready to sand this thing down and scuff everything up on it and start shooting some paint on it and get ready to get it back in the car. I had to order some parts from Reinstalling for the fuel sending unit. I'm gonna put a new sending unit, a new float in it. My float was getting some cracks in it, I guess from the E85 eating it up. And we'll get ready to get this thing back together. I think I am going to go ahead and upgrade the fuel pumps again. I'm currently running some DW 300 pumps, which are the 340s from Doucheworks. And they've been great pumps, but since I went to the 1600 injectors, I've been kind of on the borderline with fuel pressure. The injector duty cycle is so much higher with the new injectors that it seems like it's draining the pressure a little bit. And I had to run the base pressure up a little higher than what I like. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do, DW just came out with some 420 pumps that are the same size as the 340s. We're really close. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and install these 420s just to give me a little breathing room. Anyway, I'll report back. All right guys, we got Franken tank all painted up. I used some Duplicolor truck bed paint. It's not real rubbery, but it's pretty thick paint, pretty hard finish on it. Looks pretty good, although I do much prefer the silver finish on a factory, factory style tank or the reproduction tanks. This shiny silver definitely looks better than the black, but had to do with work with what I had here, so doesn't look bad. I decided to go ahead and order some DW 420 pumps. I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade the pumps while I'm in here. I got twin DW 340s in it right now. I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade pumps just because it's out and I've already spent a bunch of money at this point. Might as well throw some more at it. At least get a small upgrade out of all this labor and all this expense. Probably be a few weeks before I get the tank back in the car. I've got a couple of car events coming up that I don't want to take the car apart for and maybe not be able to get it back together in time. But so far, this is going to be as good as it's going to be probably for this video. I'm probably going to go ahead and close this one out. We'll see. Okay, good morning, everyone. It's a few weeks later, actually probably a month or so later, and hopefully this is going to be the last installment of this whole saga. Got the Franken tank ready to go in. Got the car jacked up, about to pull the stock tank out, or the stock reproduction tank out, and pull hanger out, install some new 420 fuel pumps, put it in the Franken tank, and get this thing back installed and hopefully get it running today. It's been a long time since I've had this thing on E85, and I'm ready to get it back to its full potential. Let's go. Okay guys, I got the tank back in the car. Everything looks good. I put 5 gallons of E85 in it, checked the tank for leaks. Did not have any leaks. I did key on the main fuel pump to make sure that the pumps did come on, and it did. So now I need to test the second fuel pump. And the way that we do that is it's controlled through the ECU. And what it's supposed to do is it activates off of a certain amount of RPMs and boost pressure. So I've got a test that I can run manually in here that will trigger that pump to come on. So we're going to go down to our IOs, test mode. We're going to enable test mode. And you can see right here, I'm showing about 23 pounds of fuel pressure. If you guys can focus in on that. That's just some static pressure from when I keyed it on earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this first pump manually. I'm just going to trigger it to come on, because the second pump is activated off of RPMs and boost, but it will not run if the first pump is not running. So we're going to run the first pump. Okay, so the fuel pressure came up to 50, and we're going to come over here and hit the second pump. And you can see right here, I've got a fuel pump indication showing that the second fuel pump is activated. And I've got about 53 pounds of fuel pressure with the second pump on. Cycle it on and off, on. Okay, so the second pump is working. So in theory, when this thing goes under boost, that second pump will receive a signal from the ECU and it'll turn that second pump on. So let's start this thing up and see what it does. Gas gauge is reading about 30. That's probably pretty close for about 5 gallons. As close as I can get it anyway. And there we go. This dash is the full screen. Got about 42 pounds, 43 pounds of fuel pressure at idle. That is with vacuum pulling on the regulator, so the static is probably about, obviously closer to 50. Everything looks pretty good right there.